Well, hello, it's Kathy and Rosie Vesperina. Hopefully today's video is a lot shorter than the previous video, the ride from home to pie in the sky. I recorded the whole thing obviously, but didn't cut hardly anything out of it because I wanted to have it as a bit of a memory, so that was quite a long one. But this ride is now heading from pie in the sky back up to the coast and to Patonga. And I've been to Patonga quite a few different times before, and I know what the road is like, and so this is the first time I've ridden Rosie to Patonga. There's a really sharp kind of hairpin bend as you're heading up the hill to Patonga, so that's going to be a bit tricky. I was actually there only a few weeks ago to do the hike / bushwalk from Patonga up over to Pearl Beach, I think it is, and back again. Handy hint, you need to always remember to check the tides before you do that hike, because if the tide is high or a super tide, you can't access the walking track from the beach, and you have to access it back up on the main road. Anyway, I digress. So we are now heading. We had a lovely little break at Pie in the Sky. I had a lovely sausage roll. I very rarely eat sausage rolls, but I felt like I deserved a little treat after making it all the way to Pie in the Sky. So the ride back was I've cut it quite short because you already know what the terrain looks like, but what I can say is it didn't feel as long riding back to this point as on the way there, and not quite as scary, because I guess, you know, it's like everything, if you know the road a little bit, it feels a bit easier to ride it the next time. So I felt quite good riding back. I still kind of eyes on the road, eyes on where I'm going rather than looking at the scenery, because it's still new for me, but it was great. So we've gone all the way back through all of those windies, and we're now heading into the carry-on area. I think on our left, somewhere along here, was the BMW shop, and now up into carry on where the petrol station is, and we turn right. I think it's Woi Woi Road, but I could be wrong. It's pretty hot by this time of the day, but we're doing okay. I guess once you're moving a lot, it's fine. What I am very wary of, because I've seen it mentioned before on Facebook posts and in other YouTube clips, is the tar snakes that are on the road, which are obviously where they've repaired the road with some fresh tar or some different tar. But I think once the tar gets really, really hot, it gets a bit slippery and gooey and unpleasant, and so I was a bit mindful of those. In some areas there's quite a lot of that, so just a bit more cautious. So we followed that road all the way down to, I guess, the Woi Woi area. I've cut a lot of that footage out because I didn't want this video to be quite so long, given you had to sit through the 40-minute one in the last video last week. A lot more cars obviously on the road now, as opposed to when we were riding to Pie in the Sky. I actually feel reasonably okay in heavy traffic. I am constantly watching my mirrors to make sure nobody's coming up too quickly from behind, and obviously checking for cars, doing crazy things coming in from the side and what have you. But generally I feel okay. I think if there's a really big truck coming in the other direction, or if I'm double lanes and there's a truck next to me, that kind of rattles me just a little bit, but generally okay. I remember when I first started riding, which, remember, isn't that long ago, I was actually quite petrified of all of the cars on the road. But I think part of it is about getting used to the way everything looks and sounds and smells when you're out riding, and it's a lot of input into your senses at the same time. And so the busy traffic is just one of those additional things that your brain is trying to manage and compute and what have you. And so I struggled with that a little bit at the beginning, but now I feel quite fine about it, which is great. And generally I've found that when I'm riding Rosie, probably 95 to 98% of the time, people in cars are really, I don't want to say not respectful, but they're really conscious that I'm there, and that I'm on my P plates and what have you. Every now and then there's an occasional idiot that does a stupid thing, but generally speaking, people are very kind, which is really nice. Patonga Beach and the Patonga area is a lovely spot. So there is a big kind of beach house where you can have lunch, and then there is obviously the beach that you can swim in. There's a wharf where a ferry can take you. I'm not quite sure where to and from the ferry goes. It's not a car or a bike ferry, it's a pedestrian ferry. But it helps. I think it goes across to Palm Beach in Sydney. I think, I could be wrong. But that's great for a day trip if you want to do that. There's also a great camping ground that I've camped at before, both in a tent and in the van, around the corner a little bit more from the beach and the big beach house kind of cafe thing. It doesn't have powered sites from memory, but it is right on the beach, so you can just walk through the bushes and you're on the beach. And at sunrise and sunset, it is just beautiful there. So it's worth a little visit. I do think I'd like to try and do a bike camp there one day. The road at the moment obviously is quite flat and easy to ride, but as we get a bit closer to the Patonga turnoff, it gets a little bit more hairy maclary, but it's still fine for riding. And I think even with some camping gear on the back of Rosie, I'd still probably be okay to ride the road. We had planned to ride on to Wiseman's Ferry and Gulston Gorge, but because of the heat and the additional, not Wiseman's Ferry, I can't quite remember where, but definitely Gulston Gorge was on the list. Given the heat, we decided against that, because in that area it was a little bit hotter than what it is on the coast, so we thought it's probably better to come to the coast instead. So I think we're heading up now to that very windy section of the road. This is the kind of hairpin bend that I was talking about. to our left you can see the ocean, and that's Umina, I think. Woo, round we go. You can see that it must be steep, because you can see in the camera that it looks steep, and usually these wide angle cameras sort of reduce how steep a hill looks, but it looks steepish on the camera, so you can see that it really would have been quite steep. But Rosie did it in no trouble whatsoever. How awesome is she? It's actually a really nice road to ride. There's a few cars that were coming down the other way that kind of cut the corner a little bit, but you know, we learnt that in our rider training courses about where to position yourself because of that potential hazard, so all was fine. Further along here it moves into 80, I think it's still 60 here, but a little bit further along it moves into an 80k zone for a short section, which was okay. I don't know that Rosie got up to 80k's, but when I was here a couple of weeks ago to do the bushwalk / hike, there was a lot of rain, and I had planned to ride Rosie here, and I thought, oh my gosh, there's no way I could ride Rosie on this road in the torrential rain. Well, it wasn't torrential, but it was heavy rain. But today, on a fine sunny day, not a cloud in the sky day, it was absolutely fine. So as we ride along here, ocean to our left, I want to say. Keep in mind, I'm very spatially challenged, so I could be telling you a furphy, but I think ocean to our left and more bushland to our right. Not so many cars now, which is great. I often think about these sorts of little inlet hamlets, whatever you want to call them. You know, sometimes there's only one road in and one road out, and so if there's a significant incident, people are a bit stuck. So although I love Patonga and Pearl Beach, I'm not sure that they are places that I would like to live just because of the accessibility issues. And I don't know whether buses come down here in terms of public transport, because as we get closer to Patonga Beach, it's quite windy and steep, so I'm not quite sure about the buses, but surely there has to be some kind of bus service out here. Look at that view in the distance. Gosh. How lucky am I to live on the Central Coast? I really absolutely love it. It has everything that you could want. Beautiful beaches, ocean, fantastic bushland for hiking in, close to Sydney if you need to, you know, work there and what have you. I just love it. I'm behind Joe and her son Alex again, but again it's hard to see them in the distance, but I like to keep a good space between myself and the person in front, and I like a space between myself and the person behind. So I'm a bit like that when I hike too. I just seem to like to have a bit of a bubble around me. So I think now we're heading down. We were climbing up before, but now we are heading down into Patonga. It's very pretty with all the trees. Nice sharp turn coming up. Now we're heading into the houses. They would have some tricky driveways to get in and out, wouldn't they? And this lady, just stopped in time, so she didn't squish me, so that was good. So this is all a reasonably steep downhill. You might not be able to tell on the camera, but this part was fun riding down. And it drops down to 40 k's, and we have made it to Patonga. Lots of people down here today. Everybody's come to have lunch at the clubhouse place. I can't remember what it's called. Ocean on our left, which you can see. And we're going to pull in here and have a break. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.